The property market has been popular among investors in the last few years, especially given the substantial valuations in housing prices. However, recent increases in interest rates have discouraged investments in this sector. We spoke earlier with Robert Projeski from the Australian Mortgage Options about how the current economic climate has impacted the property sector.
I've never seen a current, you'd almost call it the perfect financial storm. Whereas what's happened in the States initially with the current subprime crisis has actually flowed on to the whole liquidity in the marketplace in the global economy from a world funding point of view. So generally speaking, when you're talking property, you need the funds to buy the property. So when the money becomes readily available, property generally tends to increase. When there's a tightening in liquidity where the market sort of slows down, property does tend to slow down. Now that we've seen the effect of what's happened just of recent times with the share market and people's looking at their superannuation statement, they're taking a bit of a hit on that, and the current supply and demand factor with the vacancy rates with property nationwide, what we're noticing is there's the smart money starting to buy now and get into the property segment.
But it's interesting to hear that the smart money is to buy now, but are there actually enough homes, apartments, units to buy out there? Because don't we need another million units?
From an investor's point of view, I mean, there's not enough supply out there to keep up the demand from a rental demand point of view. That's why you'll find that in most of the capital cities, the vacancy rate is below 1%. Generally speaking, a normal vacancy rate, an acceptable vacancy rate for the government is about 3%. When it comes down to 2%, they're saying we've got a major problem here. Sub 1%, it's a catastrophe. So there's not enough people out there, or there's not enough properties out there for people to go and rent. So what's happening is that the rate of returns historically hadn't kept up with capital growth. What's happening now is rate of returns are starting to keep up with capital growth, and there has been some correction in the values of the property. So the property market's come down slightly. Returns are starting to increase. So the people that are looking at a rate of return and peace of mind going forward are starting to now skew back towards property.
Well, you've partially answered my next question. In terms of how property performed as an investment over the past financial year, has it improved or has it come down?
There's been some pockets. Overall, it hasn't done very well. There have been some pockets, primarily pockets where there's been a great demand for rental, such as places like where the resources, giants have moved in and the incomes have gone through the roof, like the average income earners on well over $100,000 a year. So they've got the disposable income to be able to spend that. They're getting better property. So places like the Mackays of the world, places now at the moment such as Adelaide, some places in Perth are still doing really, really well. There have been Melbourne's starting to come good. They're up. Sydney's probably still the only one that's sort of lagging a bit behind of where things are going in that space.
And is it home owners that are spending the money or investors looking for investment property?
What we're noticing is the astute investors are buying now, but the people that are at the lower end of the market, the owner-occupiers, they're starting to get in now. They're noticing that their rents are going up, and my prediction is that the rents will not see a decrease for the next 5 years. I think there'll be at least double-digit figures.
Right.
Over the next 5-year period. So people that think it's expensive per year, double digits per year for at least 5 years.
Wow.
Some places could get up to 15, some places up to 20% per year, but at least double digits in all the capital cities.